Hello and welcome to English with Confidence. If this is your first time here, I'm really glad you found us. Sometimes, the biggest change in how we speak has nothing to do with learning new words at all. Today's story is about that kind of change, quiet and slow, until suddenly it wasn't. My name is Josh, and for the first year of learning English seriously, every single sentence I spoke went through the same exhausting process. Someone would ask me a question, and inside my head, I would translate it into my first language, think of an answer in my first language, then slowly translate that answer back into English, word by word, before finally speaking. By the time I finished this process, the conversation had usually already moved on. People would wait a moment then, sometimes gently, sometimes not so gently, continue talking without me, or repeat their question more slowly, assuming I hadn't understood at all. It wasn't that I didn't understand. It was that my answer simply took too long to arrive. This exhausted me more than anything else about learning English. Every conversation felt like solving a math problem in my head while someone waited impatiently for the answer. I began avoiding conversations altogether, not because I lacked words, but because the translating process itself felt unbearably slow and tiring. One evening, I mentioned this exact struggle to a coworker, a woman who had learned 3 languages over her lifetime. She listened carefully, then said something I didn't expect. You're not supposed to translate forever. At some point, you have to let English think for itself, inside your head, without going through your first language at all. I didn't fully understand what she meant at first. How could I think in a language I still felt unsure of? She suggested something simple. Instead of translating full sentences, I should start with small, immediate moments. When I looked at a cup of coffee, instead of thinking the word in my first language and then translating it, I should just think the word coffee, directly, immediately, without the middle step. It sounded almost too simple to matter, but I decided to try it anyway. That week, I began narrating small moments silently in my head, directly in English. Walking to work, I thought, "It's cold today." Making breakfast, I thought, "This needs more salt." Small, immediate thoughts without ever passing through my first language at all. At first, it felt clumsy, like wearing shoes on the wrong feet. My brain kept wanting to translate anyway, out of habit. But I kept practicing, small moment after small moment, day after day. Weeks later, something shifted, quietly, without me even noticing exactly when. I was in a meeting, and someone asked me a direct question. Normally, I would have needed several long seconds to translate everything in my head. But this time, before I even realized it, an answer simply appeared, already in English, already formed. I paused for a moment, almost surprised at myself, and then I spoke it out loud. The answer came smoothly, immediately, without that familiar internal translation delay at all. After the meeting, I sat there for a moment, quietly amazed. I hadn't studied any new grammar that week. I hadn't memorized any new vocabulary list. The only thing that had changed was that, somewhere along the way, my brain had quietly stopped translating and started simply thinking directly in English, at least for small, everyday moments. It wasn't perfect, and it still isn't. Complex topics sometimes still pull me back into translating, especially when I'm nervous or tired. But for everyday conversation, that exhausting middle step had finally started to disappear, replaced by something faster, lighter, and far less tiring. Looking back, I understand now that fluency isn't only about knowing more words. It's also about training your brain to stop taking the long way around, one small, direct thought at a time, until eventually, English simply starts thinking for itself. If you find yourself translating every sentence in your head before speaking, know that this stage is normal and temporary, not permanent. Try narrating small, immediate thoughts directly in English throughout your day. Nothing complicated, just small moments, one at a time, and notice how, slowly, the space between hearing and answering starts to shrink. If this story helped you today, please subscribe to English with Confidence for a new story every week. And if you know a friend who is also learning English, share this video with them. You might be exactly the encouragement they need today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and I'll see you in the next story.